What's up, guys? We're back with another Twab video. For this week, it's August 19th, 2021, and this week we're talking about weapons. This is the last Twab of the season of the Splicer. Splicer, not Splicer. It's been a blast watching Guardians splice their way through the Vex network, tackle Vault of Glass, and pile up a ton of new rewards during Season of the Splicer. We have jam-packed a lot of Destiny moments since Beyond Light debuted last fall. As we prepare to look forward next week, let's take a look back at some of the most epic Destiny moments. There's a little short video here for the Year of Epic Moments for 2021. You can check their YouTube for that. Less than a week away from the big reveal showcase. No spoilers, but we have a tune-in page set up and we'll be streaming on both Twitch and YouTube on August 24th. 7 years of Destiny have led to this moment. Join us to learn more about a new adventure unlike any you've encountered before. The pre-show is starting at 8 a.m. Pacific, and the showcase itself will kick off at 9 a.m. Pacific. Come find out if you can survive the truth. Oh, so they're doing a pre-show. I was not aware of that. Also, I might have been aware of that. Don't know. Alright, jumping into pretty much the largest part of the TWAB, which we'll be covering here, is weapon tuning. You'll probably want to grab a snack and some drinks, because holy shit, this is a long one. Alright, I'm just going to read this verbatim, word for word. Next week's update is ushering in a new season and a big sandbox update to go with it. We have already covered ability tuning here and armor mod changes here. Check out their website for previous TWABs. And now it's time to go over what's changing with weapons. Here is weapons feature lead, Chris Proctor, with a full rundown. Alright. Chris Proctor. Good day, it's Chris again. We've got a lot to talk about for Season 15, including stasis weapons, a rework of fusion rifles, and several changes intended to make certain weapons more relevant in the new activity and with the new artifact mods. Let's kick off by clarifying some terminology. This is definitely going to be helpful. Definition of terms. Some of the recent info on weapons we've put out has been confusing. While I generally like to use our internal terms for concepts where possible, in some cases these require too much explanation to use them externally. Here are some definitions and clarifications to help. Falloff. Internally, we use falloff min and falloff max to mean start and end, but moving forward, we'll use these externally, using damage as an example. But the same logic applies to aim assist and whatnot. Damage falloff, start. The distance at which damage falloff begins or stops doing maximum damage. Damage falloff end. The distance at which damage falloff ends or hits the damage floor. Projectiles. We've used various terms to describe these types externally, including borrowing terms from other genres. And have settled on these. Hit scan. A projectile that instantly hits that applies to most weapons in the game. For example, auto rifles, hand cannons, fusion rifles, fully drawn bows at most distances. Not hit scan. A projectile with travel time, sometimes having physics bounces, and often having explosive damage and or homing. For example, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, partially drawn bows, and Jotun. Wouldn't have thought fully drawn bows were hit scan, but okay. Shotguns. Spread angle. The cone that pellets come out in, not to be confused with one of the other types of cones. This determines the size of the outer ring below. Destiny 2 shotguns don't have pure RNG for pellet distributions, though yes, it sure feels like it sometimes, which seems worth diving into. A shotgun contains 12 pellets, spread out across 3 rings as follows. Center, 1 pellet right in the middle. Inner ring, 4 wedges with 1 pellet each. Outer ring, 7 wedges with 1 pellet each. So aside from the center, which is in a fixed location, each pellet is only randomized inside a defined wedge, angle, and inner-outer radius. It's helpful to know. Global. Kind of moving out from terminology now. Season 15 introduces legendary stasis weapons, and we've seen some concern about how these are intended to work, particularly in PvP. So here are some details. Stasis power weapons are in the power slot, but all other stasis weapons are in the kinetic slot. This is to avoid overcrowding the energy slot, and so that it is reasonable to use one in-match game content. The kinetic slot won't be renamed at this time, hinting future rename, I guess. Stasis weapons don't intrinsically do anything different from weapons of other damage types, but they are the only weapons that can roll with stasis perks. We generally intended stasis perks with slowing or freezing effects to have a kill trigger, but this being easily enough to trigger in PvE and fun to use but not obnoxious to play against in PvP. This is gonna just really have to see what happens during gameplay, honestly. Alright, now that we've addressed Quick Draw's permanent plus 100 buff or handling buff, we see more people using the Quick Swap glitch. The glitch uses combinations of inputs of animation cancellation, allowing near instant weapon swaps. We want the handling stat to continue to have value on weapons, and don't want, for example, aggressive shotguns to lose their key downside, slow swaps, due to an unintentional side effect of the animation system. Fixed the Quick Swap glitch. That was a cool little logo, which is big because running out of primary ammo has never been tactically interesting. Running out in hard PvE content, or because you were in a tear in PvP, was a weird and sometimes frustrating experience that we would like to not subject anyone to in the future. All primary ammo weapons now have infinite ammo. This is going to be very interesting, because I feel like a lot of the play of Destiny is ammo economy and positioning and everything like that, but we'll see. Initia Override has been adjusted to account for there being no primary bricks, see the 8-5-21 abilities Twab. Drop mag's downside of reducing ammo reserve ammo is now almost meaningless. It's reworked to be plus reload speed and minus magazine size. Compact arrow shafts upside of increasing reserve ammo likewise, reworked to be plus reload plus handling. Updated some other perks that refer to reserves in a way that's no longer accurate, and then see notes on Fighting Lion and Sweet Business in the exotics section below. Target farming trials is much more efficient in Season 15, and we have some cool new perks for players to play with that we wanted to put on Trials weapons. All Trials weapons in Season 15 now have 7 perks in each column. It was 5. It's kind of helpful. When max power levels on weapons launched and reissued several weapons, we saw how frustrated players were at having to regrind their favorite roles, since the perk pools hadn't changed. Based on that, our reissue guidelines from Season 13 onwards were to replace most of the perks. Turns out that was an overcorrection and that certain perks in the original pools had become part of the identity of a weapon. Moving forward, the guidelines for reissues will be to remove the least useful 2 to 3 perks and add 2 to 3 newer perks that give the weapon some new options and may result in entirely new top tier roles without removing the old one. We've made some small adjustments to the weapons reissued in 3.2.1 update to move these in the direction of the new reissue guidelines. And if you're wondering why our community managers were asking for everyone's favorite roles, now you know. Added 1 or 2 of the original perks to each column for the Luna weapons reissued in 3.2.1, i.e. the Lectern weapons only. Since these can be target farmed, we're okay with increasing the size of the perk pools in this case. Added 1 of the original perks to 1 or both columns for the Dreaming City weapons reissued in 3.2.1. Tiger Spite, Twilight Oath, Abide the Return. Since these can't be target farmed yet, we didn't want to increase the size of the pools by more than 1. Archetypes. Note, exotics receive these changes as written unless otherwise mentioned in the exotics section below. Breach grenade launchers are increasing as a pain point in PvP. With the shotgun nerf, we're seeing a small increase in usage. This change aims to reduce the ease of getting big splash damage for priming or cleaning up targets. We'll watch how things change and make further adjustments in the future if needed. Note that we're fine with how they perform in PvE, so have compensated there. Reduced blast radius by 0.4 meters, e.g. max blast radius decreased from 4.55 meters to 4.15 meters. Min-based blast radius decreased from 3.8 to 3.4. Reduced splash damage by 20, which reduces total damage for a direct hit from 220 to 200 before taking spike or proximity grenades into account. Increased damage in PvE by 12%. Because of above splash damage change, this results in a small overall buff to combined damage. Witherhoard is unaffected. While machine gun usage is surprisingly high, we felt they weren't fulfilling their intended role in high difficulty content. Ammo efficient ad clear and secondary single target sustained damage. Increased damage in PvE by 20%. Scout rifles and hand cannons have felt weaker than we'd like in hard PvE content for quite a while. Increased damage versus miners by 15%. Fusion rifles have benefited indirectly from the mid-season 14 shotgun nerf, but fusion rifle subfamilies weren't as different from each other as we wanted, and weren't all useful in a variety of content. So we looked at all the options we had for diversifying them and ended up with some substantial changes. This isn't intended to be a global buff to fusion rifles, but we expect some of these to be better counters to other weapons than they were previously. Note that we also evaluated some other options which are worth a bit of discussion. Given the projectile's travel time, we did like the idea of this behavior in Destiny 1, but on investigation found that there are networking issues with rapid firing bursts of non-hit scan projectiles, and they didn't play as well as we wanted them to. We may look at this option again in the future. Burst rate of fire. This would have meant touching design data and audio for every fusion rifle we've ever shipped. Well beyond the scope of what we wanted for this change, and also not that interesting a change. Increased PvE damage bonus such that all subfamilies have a 15% PvE bonus. Previously high impact was 0. Precision and adaptive were 10%, and rapid fire was a 12.2 or 12.5. Pushed subfamilies further apart. Adjusting charge time, shots fired per burst was 7 for all subfamilies, and damage. Note that the base below means without battery perks, a charge time masterwork or adept charge time mod. High impacts charge slower, and while still strong, require more planning to use effectively. Base charge time increased from 0.86 to 1 second. Shots per burst reduced from 7 to 5. Reduced total damage per burst. In playtesting, we found that charging these in the open is super risky, but pre-charging around corners or otherwise in safety is very effective. With the reduced shots per burst, these are now less reliant on stability, so can stack a bit more range. Precisions and adaptives are close to unchanged. Base charge time is unchanged. Shots per burst is unchanged at 7. Very slightly increased total damage per burst. A lot of words. In playtesting, we feel that these are very effective all around without stepping on the niches of high impacts and rapid fires. Apparently, Cosmo will be keeping a good plug one for PvP. Rapid fires charge faster, allowing them to be used reactively against charging enemies or aggressively when pushed forwards. Base charge time decreased from 0.54 seconds to 0.46 seconds. Shots per burst increased from 7 to 9. Increased total damage per burst. Jeez. In playtesting, we found that these are very effective against shotgun rushers. The combination of them needing to be closer, and you have a shorter charge time, work well together. And if you have a good enough timing, you can fire 2 bursts with a rapid fire before a high impact user finishes charging their first. Oh, interesting. While the increased shots per burst, these are now more reliant on stability, but with the increased damage, they're less reliant on range. Parts of this work required adjusting several fusion rifle perks and 1 mod. Backup plans implementation was incompatible with fusion rifle changes. We felt like the perk could use a rework anyways. We removed plus 100 to charge time stat, adjusted charge time multiplier from 0.85 to 0.7, now scales damage by 0.8. Liquid coils and accelerated coils needed a rework for similar reasons. Both converted to scale charge time and damage instead of modifying the charge time stat. The final effect is much the same as before, but these are now more robust, however they won't visibly change the charge time stat in the inspection screen. The Adept charge time mod felt pointless, and we felt like it would still be balanced against other mods if it didn't reduce damage. Changed functionality to scale charge time directly instead of changing the charge time stat without adjusting the damage. A note on the charge time masterwork. A fusion rifle's damage is determined by its charge time stat, similar to how most others' weapons damage is determined by their rate of fire stat. Masterworks can only increase weapon stats for performance reasons, so it's not possible to change how charge time maps onto damage without big changes to how the charge time stat works. We've investigated doing this by making the Masterwork a perk, but this would cause fusion rifles to exceed the perk budget, resulting in bad things happening, as mentioned in a prior Twab. With the fusion rifle rework, we feel that this Masterwork is more viable. It now rarely reduces bolts to kill, so it may not feel like a downgrade in the same way as before. We'll be watching to see how this plays out and have some options to address the issue if that's still needed. Adjusted the fusion rifle stat order so it matches other weapons. Stability and handling were out of order. Interesting. As a big change to fusion rifles, including all exotic fusion rifles, so we'll be watching any major issues that and we'll make tweaks as needed. Exotic time, Anarchy. Getting nerfed. The Anarchy exotic grenade launcher has been dominant for years now. We're ignoring this season with sweet grenade launcher artifact mods, of course, being near mandatory for certain raid bosses combined with double slug shotguns, as well as excelling as a solo weapon and for ad clears in some encounters. We like that it's a great choice for hard solo content and trapping enemy spawns / choke points, but don't want it to remain part of a dominant tactic for boss damage, and particularly don't want it to be great for boss damage and ad clears in a single encounter. With this change, we expect it to remain strong without being borderline usable as a primary weapon. Reduce total reserve plus magazine ammunition from 26 to 16. Reduce damage by 30% versus bosses. Champions are not bosses. That is huge. Losing 10 bolts, that's gonna make you want to use it a little bit more carefully. Think about your shots a little bit more. I'm gonna know champions aren't considered bosses, so damage doesn't get affected on that side of things, which will be nice, especially for solo clears. Xenophage was already top notch, so didn't need to benefit from the global machine gun buff. It does benefit from the damage per bullet buff to machine guns, but now has a slower rate of fire to compensate, resulting in a slower damage per second, but higher burst damage and sustained damage, since it now has more ammo efficient. Reduced rate of fire from 120 to 90 rounds per minute. That's gonna feel weird. And then receives less of the machine gun PvE damage buff. Fighting Lion has always been fun, but not dominant in PvE, so we weren't worried about the impact infinite ammo would have there. However, enabling fast, unlimited grenade spamming was too much in PvP based on internal playtests. So, we've addressed this specific case without significantly impacting its feel in PvE. Fighting Lion Reserve ammo increased from a lot to infinite, receives the same changes as other breach grenade launchers. Reduced base reload stat to 0. Breach grenade launchers with a 0 reload stat reload very, very slowly. Now increases reload speed to its previous level on damaging multiple enemies on one grenade. And then we'll be keeping an eye on this, but believe it's in a good place with this change, and note that they're not going to over nerf an exotic within its own subreddit. Interesting. And you shouldn't be manually reloading Fighting Lion anyways. This is one I'm happy to see. Vex Mythoclast. We were cautious with tuning this one at launch, knowing that shipping a dormant weapon or a dominant weapon that has incredibly low ownership would break PvP and aimed for balanced, but erring on the side of not letting it ship too strong. However, it fell short of balanced, ownership is much higher now, and we want it to be strong enough to be a desirable reward from Vault of Glass. PvE damage bonus increased by 40%, range stat increased to be near best in class for high impact auto rifles, increased ability stat, reworked catalyst to grant stability and damage after a kill, increased rate of fire from 360 to 390, reduced linear fusion rifle mode charge time from 820 to 533, same as standard linear fusion rifles, and no longer loses overcharge stacks on stow except when in linear fusion rifle mode. That I'm really happy to see, as that's what I kind of want to build, kind of my main armor build around next season with the fusion rifle mods that we're getting. So I'm very happy to see that. Merciless. We had to touch this anyways because of the fusion rifle changes, and we figured they're in a if we're in there, we might as well make a buff we'd been thinking about. Updated perk to account for fewer shots per burst. Should build charge rate at the same amount per burst as before. Reduce the damage penalty for increasing charge rate by 40%. Jotun. Because of how the charge time stat works with the fusion rifle changes, we made a small change to avoid breaking this weapon. In playtesting, it almost makes no difference, but if I didn't mention it, someone would notice. Reduce charge time from 0.82 to 0.78 seconds. Charges 0.04 seconds faster. Yeah, I would never have noticed that. Slightly reduced damage per shot. Does that mean it won't one-shot in the Crucible anymore? Bastion feels very strong with shotguns being less dormant, so we're preemptively adjusting it in PvP. It's also super low usage in PvE, so we're buffing it there too. Reduced damage by 15%. Can now not quite kill a Guardian with one shot in the 3-shot burst it fires. That's helpful. Increased spread angle by 10%. Increased PvE damage by 25%. So overall, around a 10% increase to PvE. Sweet Business's perk, refilling the magazine when picking up primary ammo, no longer works in a world without primary ammo, so it's been adjusted. Now refills magazine on picking up special/heavy ammo instead of primary. I don't know how I feel about this one specifically, because if you're full, then you can't auto refill, so that'll be interesting to see. Moving into perks. I was hoping for a couple more exotic changes, but whatever. Probably get more down the road anyways. Perks. Firing line. We like the idea of this perk. It was just giving away a bit too much damage for almost free. Reduced damage bonus to 20% precision damage for all supported weapon archetypes. Was highly variable depending on the weapon type. Will roll on some snipers, linear fusions, and machine guns, and maybe some other stuff in the future. Certain damage perks only affected impact damage on explosive weapons, so we've updated these specific perks to also increase detonation damage. Kill Clip, Rampage, Adrenaline Junkie. We also fixed incorrect rarity on some recently shipped weapon perks. VFX. Weapon VFX were all custom and some didn't meet our desired cool factor. So we've rebuilt some of these to speed up the process of adding new weapons or updating old ones, while updating the visuals at the same time. Updated all grenade launcher and rocket launcher VFX, and legendary fusion and linear fusion rifles now have distinct damage type charge VFX. Oh, interesting. The near future. We're devoting a lot of energy to the Witch Queen expansion, and there are a ton of things changing in a few weeks, so we want to see how things shake out before deciding on further tuning. We'll be watching Season 15 launch closely and are ready to make some small adjustments as needed in the first half of the season. I'm happy to hear that they're going to be watching and ready to go right away. the more distant future, but still before the Witch Queen. Linear fusion rifles and caster frame swords are still not where we want them to be, so expect some tweaks. We're also looking at underused or underpowered exotics, and we'll be taking a pass at some of them, including Arbalist, Suros Regime, Cryosynthesia, whatever, 77k, Malfeasance, and more. Let's give Malfeasance a catalyst already, like goddamn. If you have some issues with spamming high rate of fire semi-automatic weapons as fast as possible, we've got something in the work for you. Priming a target and quickly swapping for a cleanup is easier than we'd like. We're looking at options for building towards faster swap speeds. We've got a step at hitting both of these points coming. Witch Queen and beyond. We've talked previously about wanting legendary weapons to have more identity based on their source, and expect to ship a new system for this in or close to the Witch Queen. In Season 15, we tweaked exotic primary weapons to generate ammo faster through ammo finder mods. We have another change planned to make them more enticing in hard PvE content. That's all we have. That's all they've got for weapon changes for now. We're looking forward to seeing how PvP and PvE metas shape up once we all have our hands on them next week. Chris. That's a lot of information. I might either go read it myself, or yourself, or watch the video again. But moving into actual Season 15 items. Guns, that didn't work. Guns, and guns. We're still holding a lot of the details on Season of the Redacted close to the chest, including the new Season 15 arsenal you'll start to discover next week. We do want to show off some of the other weapons you'll be earning next season. Next season's Ritual Quest weapons is a rocket launcher with the explosive light perk. As is the custom, you can then collect Gambit, Crucible, and Verkar themed weapon ornaments by upgrading your rank on the vendors. I really like the look of this. If this is what all next season weapons can look like, I'm going to be so happy. Which it won't, but one can dream. We're adding 3 weapons as post-game rewards for completing Vanguard Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible matches. These will drop randomly after completing these activities with random rules. Here's a sneak peek. I don't know what any of these weapons are, other than full auto, sidearm, auto, maybe distant revelations from Gambit. I can't tell on that one, it looks too similar. Then they also have plans to freshen up the loot pool of the Prophecy Dungeon. Seen a lot of feedback to bring forward weapons, original reward from Trials of the Nine, and thought that adding these to the 9 themed dungeon was a great fit. These weapons have been upgraded with random rolls, and certain ones will drop from specific encounters of the Prophecy Dungeon. Finally! I really want this hand cannon, it looked dope. Also the pulse was really good. I think that's the pulse. Yeah, it's the pulse. Sniper looked pretty cool too. I'll have to actually grind Prophecy now. And then, on top of these weapons, we're also updating the world pool with some fresh drops. Here are some new weapons you can expect to start seeing pop up in the world. So a lot of stuff from year 1. I'm honestly surprised they included a new Anarchy pulse, considering that factions are out of the game now, so that's very interesting to do. Scathe Lock is nice to have there. I can't remember the name of this, but that's Dead Orbit. Interesting. I don't know the name of the sniper. Vanguard sidearm I don't ever remember seeing, and then the standard thing there. Alright, we've got some more relief effort stuff here. So, at Bungie, it's our mission to build worlds that inspire friendship, but we also realize the fortunate position we find ourselves in, and we believe in the power, compassion, and generosity of our community to amplify our efforts to reduce distress and suffering in the world. We believe that games can be a powerful force for good, and we believe it's our responsibility to use our voice and to support your desire and help those in need. The Bungie's foundation mission, is to put those beliefs to work. We are a people-focused organization that builds and empowers our community to improve the health and well-being of children, uplift the rights of all individuals and communities, and provide aid in times of crisis. We act as the charitable giving arm of Bungie in order to express our company's values outwardly to the world around us, and have deployed strategic programs and partnerships in order to accomplish our mission. Our partners in disaster relief, Direct Relief and Team Rubicon, are doing profound and meaningful work around the globe to provide direct aid, agility, and expertise in response to the numerous humanitarian crises our world is facing, including the Haiti earthquake and global impacts of climate change and COVID-19. We invite you to jump into action with us to develop a fund that will both support their efforts as well as help us build a pool of reserves that can be leveraged to support future humanitarian needs strategically and rapidly. Between now and September 1st at 11:59 PT, we have a few exciting opportunities to help those in need around the world, along with some incredible incentives to thank you for doing so. And here's how it will work. Direct donations. All donations to the Bungie Foundation will support the Disaster Relief Fund. Donate $25 plus and receive the Anchor Point emblem distributed via email on Thursday, September 9th. It's a nice little emblem. Looks cool. Odd little lines there, but I like the little icon there. Guardians of Hope t-shirt pre-order. Pre-order the Guardians of Hope t-shirt from Team Rubicon's web store, and the Bungie Foundation will match up to $25K. We'll provide shipping updates in a later Twab. I like Shax there. Every customer will receive the Vital Elixir emblem distributed on Thursday, September 9th. I do like this one a little bit more. Bungie Store Initiative. All purchases from Bungie Foundation Collective will support the Disaster Relief Fund. All purchases from this collection will receive the Planet of Peace emblem delivered via mail after purchase is complete. Notes. To be eligible for the in-game items listed above, donations and/or purchases must be made between August 19th and September 1st at 11:59 p.m. PT. Unique redemption codes will be emailed to you on Thursday, September 9th following the completion of the fundraiser. Donations must be exactly $25 or higher to qualify for the Anchor Point emblem. Combining smaller donations does not qualify. Limit one redemption code per item per email for qualifying donations or purchases. And then a little bit more about our partners. So, Team Rubicon is a veteran-led disaster response organization helping vulnerable communities prepare, respond, and recover after natural disasters, humanitarian crises. They acknowledge that crises such as COVID-19, impacts of climate change, and increasing natural disasters are ubiquitous. That is why funds raised through this campaign will support the TR's efforts to meet critical needs around the US and globally, including high-priority efforts such as the Haiti earthquake, wildfires, and global COVID-19 support. But these funds will do more than that. The Bungie Foundation and TR's goals is to leverage these funds to provide exponential and incremental impact to the most vulnerable populations here and around the world, now and into the future. Direct Relief is a humanitarian aid organization active in all 50 states and more than 80 countries. Interesting. With a mission to improve the health and lives of people affected by poverty or emergencies, without regard to politics, religion, or ability to pay. Each emergency has specific characteristics that are dependent on local facts and circumstances. Direct Relief coordinates with local, national, and international responders to ensure efficient use of resources while avoiding duplication of efforts or logistical bottlenecks. Funds raised through this campaign will generate efficient responses to today's major crisis and will leverage resources to maximize continued health improvement around the world. Love, your friends at Bungie. Bungie artists, as Season of the Splicer winds down, we wanted to take a quick look back at some of the amazing art created for it. We've lined up several of the artists who worked on Season of the Splicer to showcase their work. Make sure to click their names to see all the art they have available on their personal sites. This is beautiful. This is also beautiful. And again, beautiful. Beautiful. I don't like that light, a little blinding, but it does look cool. All right, we've got a report. All right, so here's what's happening on Tuesday. On Tuesday, August 24th, Destiny 2 will undergo maintenance in preparation for the Destiny 2 Update 3.3.0. Below is a timeline of events. Note, sometimes may be subject to change during this maintenance period. At 8 a.m. Pacific, maintenance begins. 8:45 a.m. Pacific, players are removed from activities, Destiny 2 is brought offline. 10 a.m. Pacific, Update 3.3.0 will be available across all platforms and regions. Players will be able to log back into Destiny 2. 12 p.m. Pacific, Destiny 2 maintenance is expected to complete. Expected to conclude, not complete. Same thing. Below are some issues that will be resolved with Update 3.3.0. A complete list will be shared when the update goes live. The players will no longer receive the bird error code when trying to get to the Wall of Wishes. The Adept Big One Spec Weapon mod will now correctly appear in the collections. Bounties, valors, and weekly challenges will correctly gain progress in Crucible matches. Didn't know that was an issue. Interesting. For more information, visit the Destiny server and update status help article. Alright. Claim your stuff. The following will reset and become unclaimable when Season of the Redacted launches on the 24th. Season 14 Bungie rewards. Season 14 seasonal challenges. Bearguard tokens, visit Zavala to turn them in. Valor rewards, visit Shaxx to claim, including engrams. Infamy rewards, visit Drifter, including engrams. Splicer servitor engrams. Get 'em. Season of the Chosen Season Pass items on our previous season webpage. Make sure to check out each character. Some people may have to use our Destiny Companion mobile app to claim these rewards. And again, talking about crossplay names. As a reminder, crossplay will go live early in Season of the Redacted. When players log in for their first time to play Season of the Redacted, the name on whatever platform they log in on will become their Bungie name for when crossplay goes live. Below is a list of reminders regarding a player's Bungie name. The display name for the first platform that players log into to play Destiny 2 beginning at 10 a.m. Pacific on the 24th will become the player's Bungie name. Platform ID numbers, non-standard characters, and symbols will be removed and excluded. If a name violates our code of conduct, it will be changed to Guardian. Name changes won't be available until a later update. For Steam players, your Steam profile name, not your Steam account name, will become your Bungie name. A name can be 26 characters in length. That's so long and unnecessary. Cyrillic characters are supported in each language that Destiny 2 supports. The following languages also supported: Japanese, Korean, Simplified Chinese, and Traditional Chinese. Heroes Memorial Quest. Some players have reported issues acquiring the final season of the Splicer quest. To resolve this issue, players should log into each character and check the Splicer servitor in the quest archive for this quest to collect. Please be aware that this quest can only be completed on one character. Players may have to listen to each radio message in the helm first by going to orbit and back to the helm each time until all radio messages have been listened to. Players may have to complete all Season 14 quests in their inventory and log out and back into the game. Players may have to pick up and complete a bounty and complete the override activity. Oh, that's weird. Kind of annoying. Alright, here's some known issues. A full list of known issues related to Season of the Redacted will be shared once the season goes live, but here is some stuff. We've resolved an issue causing the gift sub weekly bounty in the Destiny 2 Twitch extension to not complete for viewers who purchase gift subs. Players who purchase gift subs for the bounty can now acquire their bounty rewards from the holiday at the tower before the weekly reset. So you got a couple days, hurry up. We have resolved an issue causing Xbox players to receive negative silver balances. Nice. Players with a full inventory will not earn Season of the Redacted seasonal currency, and the currency will not go to Postmaster. Make sure you have an make sure you have at least a slot to get that seasonal currency. The Arbalest exotic linear fusion rifle will not work with the anti-champion mods in Season of the Redacted. In a future update, anti-barrier will be added as an intrinsic perk for this weapon. Hells yeah. When charged melee is mapped to an input, changing the button layout will retain that mapping. Players can reset the custom layout or clear the mapping for charged melee to fix this issue. This one's been known about all season, but the Vex Fanatics Radioland fluid pull persists and continues to do damage for about 8 to 9 seconds after the visual pull disappears. Please fix this. The elevator and the corrupted strike sometimes cannot be interacted with, blocking the progression of the strike entirely. Just delete the strike. There's that help. There's the fix. Warlock's Nova Warp doesn't blink if hold sprint is active. That's kind of annoying. A second weekly Nightfall score stat tracker is present in the stat trackers. Weird. For a full list of emergent issues in D2, players can review our known issue article. Go there. Movie night. Did not watch, but, you know, got the Infinity Stones going on. Lion King. That just looks really nice. This is beautiful. That Dilf Catboy Summit I painted for. Not gonna lie, I wish I didn't read that. I wish he had more clothing on, but it is pretty cool looking. Alright. 5 more sleeps until the reveal. More than welcome to join us for the main party on our channels. But if you have a community that you like watching reveals with, co-streaming is allowed for this event. We've been hyping this up, but at the same time don't want to overhype. Let's just say that you should expect at least one video and someone talking about Destiny. No shit. I've said too much. Listen, we're excited and hope you enjoy what we've been cooking up. See you Tuesday. What is this? I didn't say this earlier. It's a cat. That is a cat. Alright. That is a super long TWAB. But a lot of good information there. Obviously, Arbalest getting the intrinsic anti-champion mod is beautiful. So helpful. Charged melee coming up. All the changes to exotic weapons I'm excited to see. But where to go? This. I'm so ready for this. We've been talking about this since day one that Prophecy came out. So finally a year later, they're like, yeah, we should probably do that. But that is all I have for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn that bell on for notifications for new Destiny 2 content. Leave a comment down below about what you are most excited for with seeing based off this most recent TWAB. Till the next time, Guardians, stay safe.